right? And you've studied your program, and you listen to your surgeon, you listen to your dietitian, and you're getting your 80 grams of protein. And then along comes a skinny Asian that says, you don't need 80 grams of protein a day. You can't process 90 grams of protein a day. Why are you trying to stuff protein in your little tiny baby gastric bypass pouch? And now you're wondering why you're miserable and why it's stretched out. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 63 of the Dr. V Challenge. This month we're focusing on finding your voice. And if you're wondering what this has to do with weight loss surgery, I'm going to tell you, man, if you don't ever find your voice, you will always struggle with your weight. Amen? It's true. I promise you it's true. If you've ever said, Dr. V, I just did whatever other people wanted to do. I just went to the buffet. I went to whatever restaurant they wanted to eat. You didn't have your voice, girl. You didn't have your voice. So we're going to talk about that today. And our artist influence person today is Maya Angelou. And you know you've made it when somebody says your name, Maya, and the only other last thing that follows is Angelou. That's super powerful, you know. I'm going to change my name to officially Dr. V. DRV. I'm just kidding. But there are other Dr. V's out there, and I'm just kind of like, no, I'm the Dr. V. Ego, right? No. So, this is a super powerful video. It's one of my all-time favorite videos. It's through a series of what Oprah Winfrey calls her masterclass, where she takes the best and greatest lessons learned from these people and distilled them down into this beautiful visual storytelling autobiography lesson. I mean, it's just amazing listen, right? And she has it in a podcast form that sometimes you can find on YouTube, where it's just the sound, and the sound quality is amazing. And of course, because of usage rights, some people pirate them and they get taken down. So the first time I heard this video, it was actually on the audio podcast. And then for whatever freaking reason, they took it down. So now I can't find it on YouTube again. So I found you a pirated version. So you... That happened again, huh? We have to be careful because with the sun, it's going to get hot. Oh, my thing is slipping. Okay. Am I back? There we are. Okay. I found a pirated version. And because of that, you might want to try to watch this video sooner rather than later, because it will probably get taken down someday. I got to re-glue this little glue thing. So this one actually has the video version with it, and you can see the storytelling and what's called the B-roll, like the actors and stuff acting out what they're talking about. And if you like that, you can watch it, which is also good. But honestly, it's just a beautiful listen. And I'll briefly talk about Maya Angelou and her history. So she was mute for several years. What happened was, when she was younger, she was sent to live with her grandmother. And her grandmother raised her, and she calls her grandmother her mom, which is a very Southern thing to do if your grandmother raises you. And then at one point, she was 7 years old, she was sent back to her mom to live with her. And then her mom's boyfriend at the age of 7 molests her, rapes her. And her brother Bailey, who was 9, she was scared to tell anybody because the rapist said that he would kill her and anybody she told. So Maya didn't tell any adults, but Bailey says, her 9-year-old brother says, you can tell me because I'll protect you. So she tells Bailey his name, and then Bailey tells the family, and then the family calls the police, and the dude, the molester, her mother's boyfriend, spends a night in prison, in jail, and then gets released. And the next thing she knows, she's told by 2 police officers that man was found dead and beaten to death. So clearly, the family had taken care of that guy. And Maya thought that, in her 7-year-old brain, that it was her voice that killed him. And so from that moment on, she knew that her voice could kill, which becomes poetic for her future, because her writing is just so beautiful. It kills you in certain ways. And so she stopped speaking, and she doesn't speak for a long time, and because she knows her voice could kill. And so her family got tired of this sullen girl, And then, so they sent her back to live with her grandmother, which was like the best thing. That it was like a blessing in disguise. So eventually she goes to this black school, elementary school, and this teacher tells her to read all these books that are in the library. And she reads them all, and she memorizes them all, and she loves, like, she memorized 50 Shakespeare sonnets, and she memorized Edgar Allan Poe. And at one point she said she thought Edgar Allan Poe must have been a little black girl from the South, because his experience was like just like her experience. So then she didn't speak for a couple of years, and they thought she was mute. She'd walk around with this little writing pad and write down her answers to whatever the adults asked her. And so at one point there was this lady who was visiting her grandmother, and she says, you know, you don't love poetry, Maya. And Maya's like, I do love poetry. You know, she's writing, and she's very angry. And she's insisting, yes, I do love poetry. She says, no, you don't love poetry. And she says, you can't love poetry until... I'm gonna start crying because it's so beautiful. I cry more than Joel Osteen, so for the new people watching, I'm so sorry. But this woman says, no, Maya, you can't love poetry until you speak it, until it comes through your mouth. You speak it in your lips. And she says she got so angry that she ran and hid underneath the house in the cool dirt where the chickens are, because the chickens live underneath the house. And she tried to recite a poem. And that's when she started speaking again. And believe it or not, that's the title of her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. She's the bird, you know. And I know why the caged bird sings. Beautiful, right? So it's a great video, 45 minutes. Strongly recommend you watch it. Now, what does this have to do with weight loss surgery, Dr. Vuong? Well, if you can't ever find your voice, you're going to really struggle with your journey. If you can't figure out how to stand up for yourself, if you can't figure out how to express yourself, you know, we talked about millennials yesterday, about communication, and you guys thought I was picking on millennials. Shit, I wasn't picking on millennials. I pick on all of y'all. Everybody's free game. You know, none of y'all know your voices. A lot of y'all don't. And when you do find your voice, you still speak with doubt, you know. I want to show you something real quick in the garden. Can you give me a little moment here? So let's switch. Okay. All right. I'm going to try to do this with one hand. So this is my super sweet 100 tomato plant. This is my favorite tomato. It makes this little bunch of tomatoes here. You see that? That are like cherry size. And my God, they are super sweet. So if I pick that off and ate it, it'd be amazing. So this is one plant that I got. And as you can see, remember if my tomato plant tip, I lay them sideways and they turn up at 90 degrees. And so actually the root ball that I planted is down here. And it goes up and divides and goes up, okay? And I've trellised both of these up on a string. Now, why? And they were growing just fine, but I'm not very happy because they're both skinny. I mean, they are smaller than my pinkies, and they've been in the ground for a month and a half, 2 months now, and they both fruited. And so this one's, the one out here has gotten just a tad taller. It's got some fruit. It's got more flowers. This little one fruited at first here and here, and the squirrels are eating these. I'm not getting to them. I've eaten only one cherry. And then I'm looking up here, and there are no real other flowers. There's a little one here, and then there's maybe going to be something here, right? So I decided this morning I was going to do something quite dramatic, and I am going to remove this branch from its environment, this growth. Why? It's because, this plot came with a house, and so it's not lasagna garden the way I like to do it, so it's not that nutritious. So usually when you have tomato plants, you really want to pick one strong branch, and that one strong branch is the one that you use to grow, because if you let more than one go up, there's not enough nutrition in the soil to fortify two of these. So I was a little late today because I was trying to get this prepared for this talk. So I'm going to actually go way down here. Okay. I'm going to peel back this all the way down there. I can't believe I'm doing this. Snip. Okay. I'm cutting this tomato. Hold on. Let me eat this one first. Look at that bad boy. So nice. You can listen to me crunch. That is so sweet and it's very tomatoey. So my decision to do this was to, because it wasn't really growing any new flowers, but I want to save the other plant. I want it to have more nutrition. I also realized that because it's against this house and there's an overhang right above me, this, where this is planted against the wall, only gets heat from direct sunlight until about noon. So it gets direct sunlight from about 8 until noon. So that's only 4 hours. Tomatoes like usually 6 hours. So that's why this is spindly, and also because it's a competing plant. Now, a lot of people new gardeners would be scared to do this. Because now, look at that. Doesn't that look sad? Just one little lonely little plant here. But I know that this other plant is going to thrive because I took away that competing plant. Now, a lot of new gardeners would be sad because they think they're losing a tomato plant, right? So it's the saying, one bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right? So you're really worried. You have two in the hand and you're worried about giving it up. And the average gardener or beginning gardener would freak out. But what Dr. Vuong knows and what I've taught my people is that you can take this clipping and regrow it. And that's super powerful knowledge. You're using this knowledge. Now listen, some of y'all might have said like, oh, my clipping died. Well, you don't take these little leaves, you don't take the side shoots off and plant them. You plant the main stem. You regrow the main stem. So what I've done here is set up this pot here. So now I've got, I went to Lowe's and they just had these on the side of the building where it's a stand that says recycle your planting materials. And so these were free to pick up. And I have actually, there's a big black, you see the stack of big black ones there? Those are going to be my angel trumpet ones. I was like, my God, how am I going to get to stake those? So I've done a lasagna gardening inside this little pot. So you see my greens down there and I got browns on top. I'll try to do this with one hand. Now I'm going to take this plant, right? I want the top here, and I'm going to snip it off, let's say right here. And remember, all these little tiny hairs on this plant will create a new plant, okay? Will create, those little tiny hairs will create roots. So now I'm going to trim all this off. I'm going to remove this here. Dr. Vuong, what does this have to do with weight loss surgery? I'm so impatient. Please, Dr. Vuong. See, there's some aphids on there. That's pretty cool. Some little bugs. All right. So I'm going to take this all the way up, and I'm just going to leave these top little things. So see what I did there? Okay. And the bottom half, I can do the same thing with the bottom half if I want. I could put these, You see how it's growing that little junction leaf right there? I think I might do that because I love these super sweet 100s. Now, I'm gonna put this root, as much of this as I can, because it's all gonna become a root system, right? I'll shove it down there. And then I got this, this is my Mel's Mix that I taught y'all about. I'm gonna cover it with Mel's Mix. Now, why do I put that lasagna garden at the bottom? A couple reasons. When those roots start to develop, they're gonna hit that compost layer of greens and browns, and it's gonna be like a big old nutritional boost when they get to that point, and they're gonna love it, and it's gonna thrive. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna push this down a little bit. I'm gonna give it a big drink of water. So this plant just went from low producing area, because it's competing with its sister plant in poor and medium soil, to now it's going to its own little environment here. Okay. And trust the process. Thank you guys. All right. And it's gonna have its own little house here. I gotta water this down. And then this will settle in. I'll have to go back and put more soil later. That tomato plant is not gonna thrive in that current environment. So Maya Angelou had to be taken from her mother and then was raised by her grandmother. And that's how she became Maya Angelou. If she wasn't removed from that environment, she would have never become the person she ultimately ended up becoming. Sometimes that has to happen with you in your life and your weight loss journey. You have to remove yourself from a toxic environment. You have to control your surroundings if you can, if you're a grown up. If you're younger, you might have to assess all the people in your life, the things that are around you. Does that make sense? And you have to set yourself up for success. That's number one. Number two, you need a mentor. Maya was not gonna do well with her mom because she got raped and all this. She wasn't protected, and her grandmother was the one who was a 6 foot tall black woman in the South who during the Great Depression loaned money to white men. So, and Maya talks about her grandmother so poetically. Child, are you about to leave my house? When Maya was of the age where she was gonna leave, and she says, Grandma, Mama, I'm leaving. And she says, Sister, you about to leave my house? You about to leave my house? Yes, I'm leaving. You about to step over my threshold? Yes, I'm about to leave. And she says, if you're gonna step over my threshold, just know this, you're now grown. And because I raised you, you know the difference between right and wrong. And I was like, dude, that's deep. That's deep. So you have to, in some situations for your weight loss journey, you need to find mentorship. You need to find a tribe. This is the whole Dr. V tribe. This is for the newbies who are watching. You're gonna get called a cult. People are gonna say you're different. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm different. I want to be different. Because what I knew wasn't working for me, man. It wasn't, I was stalled. I was not happy. I was dealing with 20, 30 pounds of weight regain, or I've regained all my weight, or I'm sitting here like a little anxiety ball, stressed out about the world. Yeah, it wasn't working for you. You need someone who knows better and cuts you out of the soil and puts you into better soil, that now you can thrive and become who you are. Does that make sense? And here's the shitty part. That little plant, he made 2 little batches of fruit. He was all happy. He was about to put out some other flowers, make some more little fruit for me. But dude, did you see his trunk? I mean, his trunk was half the size of my pinky. It was skinny. And that's in the gardening world, that's called leggy. Both of them. And they were both suffering. Now watch. Now the one that's still in the ground is gonna take off. And this one that I put in, I'm gonna plant over here right behind me. So this wall behind me gets 6 hours of light because of the way the sun goes over. I've been watching this sunlight. So it'll get sun all the way till 1:30 or 2. And so it's going to love it, okay? So for the new people, this is what we mean when we say trust the process, man. Trust the process. You just don't know what you don't know, man. You just don't know what you don't know. And there are life lessons everywhere for you to do what it is you want to do. So at one point, Maya Angelou is in California, and she's trying to make a living singing. So she's singing. But she says, man, I didn't love singing. I would rather dance and write poetry, because singing is a sacrifice. And she meets Billie Holiday, the great jazz singer. And Billie Holiday says, are you trying to replace me? And Maya Angelou says, no, ma'am, I would never replace you. And she looks at her and she says, you're going to be somebody really famous one day. Just not as a singer. So sometimes you need the wisdom of an older generation that sees something beautiful in you, sees something amazing in you, that you're going to be famous one day, that you're going to be special one day, that you can do whatever it is you want to do, and points you in the right direction. Like, this is not working for you, girl. You know? Sister, this is not working for you. In weight loss surgery, so much of us are tied to these beliefs, all right? Because I get it. You guys are frustrated. You tried a lot of diets. You think you know what macros are, and a lot of you do. You think you know what nutrition is, and some of y'all do. But and you know, and you studied your program, right? And you've studied your program, and you listen to your surgeon, you listen to your dietitian, and you're getting your 80 grams of protein. And then along comes a skinny Asian that says, you don't need 80 grams of protein a day. You can't process 90 grams of protein a day. Why are you trying to stuff protein in your little tiny baby gastric bypass pouch, and now you're wondering why you're miserable and why it's stretched out? And yet I still have people who on my page sits there and thinks I'm crazy. You know who they are. You've been kicked. Comment if you've been kicked out of a group because you shared a Dr. V video. That wasn't even like a sales page. It was just their video, and you got kicked out of a group. You know, much less trying to get them to join this tribe, right? And it's, but sometimes we're so resistant. We're like, no, I'm following my surgeon's plan to a T. Well, what if they're wrong? I mean, when I started doing weight loss surgery, I started going to these events and conferences with these other surgeons. I took what they taught me, and I went back and I told my bariatric patients the same thing, such as salads are not healthy for you. You know, band patients shouldn't eat salads. Salads could stretch out your pouch. Salads don't have much nutrition to them. And so I told them that. And in one of my early books, that's what it says. And then I was like, this is crazy. Salads is where it's at, yo. It makes no sense, man. And the same thing about protein. You got to get more protein. And people were like, Dr. Vuong, how do I get all this protein in? And I was like, well, I guess you drink these protein shakes. And then they were like, but these are man-made, and you're saying to not eat man-made. And I was like, dude, you're fucking right. So then I discovered green smoothies, right? I discovered green smoothies. And then you'll still have dietitians and doctors who disagree with me. If you tell them what I'm telling you to do green smoothies, they're like, that's not good for you. That won't keep you full. There's not enough protein in that. Da-da-da-da-da. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. What if you're wrong? Remember, it's possible to be sincerely wrong. And so, number 3, whether you know it or not, what if your voice is being oppressed by people who are just sincerely wrong? I mean, they're not trying to sabotage you. Your bariatrician, your nutritionist, your surgeon, they want you to be successful. They want you to be their poster child. But what if the information that they know, like I thought, what if that information is wrong? And so it's possible to be sincerely wrong. So what if everyone you're listening to, they're not bad people, they're not trying to fuck with you, they're not trying to screw you up, they are just sincerely wrong. What if they just don't know what gardening is? What if they just never thought about what goes into a green smoothie? What if they never thought about, what goes into Premier protein shakes, how that's made, right? And they're just sincerely wrong. So one of the first things, in order to find your new voice, guys, hey, listen up. In order to find your new voice, you have to look around and you have to say, what if they're just sincerely wrong? The people I'm listening to. And it's okay if you're like, dude, Dr. Vuong's crazy, I just want my money back. That's fine. But just give it for a second. Just sit with the process a little bit and think about it. All right? I don't know if that's 3 or 2 or 3. 3. You have to look around and say, who are the fucking dickheads? Who are the ones who are not sincerely wrong? They are just fucking blatantly wrong. And they are trying to sabotage me. How do I find my voice? What if they are the ones who are trying to rape me? And I use that figuratively because we're talking about Maya Angelou. What if they're just bad people? Who are the bad people in my life? Who are the bad people in my life? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, who am I listening to that are deliberately sabotaging me? That are deliberately trying to oppress me? That are deliberately trying to make me feel small and bad? Please listen to this Maya Angelou video around the 30-minute mark. It's so super powerful. Oprah says, sometimes whenever I get down on myself because of something that happened or something somebody said or the press, I'll call Maya Angelou and she says, girl, don't you know these people can't hold a candle? I'm going to cry. Can't hold a candle to the light that God is shining on your face. These people can't hold a candle to the light that God is shining on your face. Don't you know you're a child of God? It's so beautiful. If you will just sit with her poetry and what she says, it is so powerful. And it doesn't matter who these fuckers are. It doesn't matter if it's your mom or your mother-in-law or your husband. You have to just look at it and say, dude, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't thrive in this soil. I cannot grow in this garden. I cannot grow where I've been put. I cannot grow. I need to be moved to a better place. I need somebody to show me how to move to a better soil, to a better condition. And number 5, Maya Angelou says, I realize that I'm a child of a greater God. I'm a child of a greater God. But then she says, all of the bigots, if I'm a child of God, then all of the bigots and all of the batterers, they're also children of God. They just don't know it. And I have to love them. And that is such a human truth. Even the bigots and the batterers are children of God. They just don't know it. If I'm human, then anything that is human is not foreign to me. It is within me to become Martin Luther King or a star or John F. Kennedy or whoever it is that you love and respect. If it's human, then it's not foreign to me, and I can love without limits. And I can put myself fucking first. I can put myself fucking first because I am human and nothing is foreign to me, and I am a child of God. And I love you no matter how mistaken you are. And I love you no matter how poorly you treated me. And I love you no matter how misguided you are. But we just can't be together anymore. This environment is toxic. This environment is killing me. I am finding my voice. I am an almighty child of God. I was designed perfectly and for bigger purposes and reasons, and you can't stop me just because you don't know it, just because you're not awoke to it. And all of my little reasons, and all of my little concerns, and all of my little cares, stupid shit, like, ooh, it's a texture thing, Dr. Vuong. Ooh, can you taste the spinach and green smoothies, Dr. Vuong? Ooh, but it's hard, but what if? Ooh, how do I start? Ooh. Dude, like, this tribe does not put up with shit like that. We love you, but we know that you are destined for greater things and more powerful things and a better environment. You are deserving of a better environment. And yes, that tomato plant is going to go into a little bit of a shock when I clipped it and I moved it and I put it into a new environment, and it's got to feel the dirt, and it's got to send out roots. It's got to grow. It's got to like grow or die. It's got to send out roots or it's going to die. And it's called transplant shock. And that's you, girl. That's you. That's why you had weight loss surgery. And you're sitting there saying, "Oh my God, it hurts. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to meal prep. I'm so tired of this. Do I have to weigh my food?" Dude, this is you. This is growth. This is survive or die. This is like, get with it or go back to old habits and go back to that old abusive relationship or that unpassionate marriage or whatever it is that you want to fucking blame it on. Your teenagers, get them off the couch. Unplug them. They just like to play video games all day. How did they get the video games? They don't work. They're teenagers. They don't have cars. Where did those video games come from? I wonder. It's called transplant shock. It's called transplant shock. Today's the first day of the rest of your life. Welcome to the tribe. Love you. See you next time.